Malay Javanese origin, while the characteristic tortoise comb that were worn by local Mudaliyars, Adigars, Visaves, Rate Mahatmayas is yet another Malay statement piece. Nightingale of Sinhala cinema, GSB Rani Pereira, veteran actress Gemini Kanta, songstress Lakshmi Bai, and cricketer Tilakaratna Dilshan, born Tuan Muhammad Dilshan, are of Malay ancestry. Even the famous Diseram family in Sri Lanka claim Dutch and Malay heritage. Since the turn of the 19th century, many Malays have married into the Burgher, Sinhala and Moor communities, and as of today, many Sri Lankans claim Malay lineage. Thus, Malays since their advent have always lived in friendly brotherhood, pooling the resources of each for the benefit of all. Since the dawn of independence, Lankans have migrated to foreign lands in search of better livelihood, and at present, Australia is a foster home to a large population of Ceylonese, especially the Dutch Burghers and Malays. As we delve deep on the history of Sri Lankans in Australia, it is clear this migration of Lankans to the land down under coincided in 1816 with the banishment and settlement of a Lankan-born Malay non-commissioned officer of the 1st Ceylon Regiment named Drum Major William Udine. There are many people who have helped this book to take the shape in all sorts of ways, but they all have in common in that they have seen some merit in my endeavors and have gone out of their way to help. However, one gentleman stands above all, who helped me along this weary journey. It's none other than Sir Tissa Devendra, my mentor, my guiding light, and has always stood by me as my greatest pillar of support, to whom I owe a great debt of gratitude. His expertise and many years in the field of writing helped me immensely in writing meticulous proofreading and compilation of this book. If not for Sir Devendra, this publication would be much thinner. If not, it would not have been published at all. It is because of Sir Devendra I stand in front of you today as an author. I was introduced to Sir Devendra by my first guru, Mr. B.D.K. Saldin, whose work inspired me to research my roots. Deshabandhu Sirisumana Godage sir truly deserves my deepest gratitude at this hour for having transcended an amateur writer to a published author. Thank you, Sir Godage, for having accepted my debut book, PERSAUDARAAN. I would also like to thank all those who helped me contribute to the project in one way or another. The archives in Chelsea, United Kingdom, Kew, London, Hague, Netherlands, and Indonesia deserves my thanks. What you are in life results in great part from the influence exerted on you over the years by just few people. There have been several people in my life whose influence on me did much to change me from just a student to an author. My interest in Malay community and culture stemmed from my childhood thanks to my beloved maternal grandmother, Ne Ruhun Kayat Nita Simlai, who inculcated in me the importance of my identity as a Malay. Nena's intriguing stories birthed the passion for history and culture during my growing years, and it did eventually incentivize me to write a 456-page publication on Sri Lankan Malay community. I must say on this special day, my immediate family and the extended have helped me in their possible ways to make this launch a success. I suppose it is natural for any person to feel that the most vivid personalities in early youth were those of his parents. This was certainly so in my case. My father, Zahir Al-Karim, has supported both physically and financially, not just to be an author, but in each and every phase of my life. No one there has been more supportive than my darling mother, Nay Zarina Aziz Kayat Karim. Despite being a very close and warm personality, she has always remained somewhat awe-inspiring. She is the most dignified and beautiful person in my life, my best friend and my strongest critic. She has provided me with some badly needed reassurance, and in writing this book, she has given me her fullest support. For all what Mama has sacrificed and done so far, she surely deserves a little thank you. At the very least, a dedication is all what I could gift her to express my true love and sincere gratitude as a dearest son. This book, PERSAUDARAAN, is dedicated to my darling mother, Nay Zarina Karim Ni Aziz Kayat. The book is a result of many years of arduous research and documentation. I sincerely hope that the readers of this book will find the chapters interesting, useful as a reference, and as a primary starting point for work in Sri Lankan Malay history, heritage, and culture. I wish to apprise the younger generation Malays gathered here today that the Sri Lanka Malay Association, professors, lecturers, the ambassador of Netherlands, socialites and plenipotentiaries are congregated in this institution is to help raise awareness concerning our minority and to conserve it for posterity. I would like to inform my dear Saudaras and Saudaris of Sri Lanka Malay community that we as Malays should be proud of our identity, and I wish to bring to your notice that minorities enrich the society of each and every country in the world. Dear Malay parents, promote Sri Lankan Malay culture, traditions and values in the household. Educate your children on Malay history and heritage, and ensure that our vibrant culture, ethos and values are passed on to the next generation. Furthermore, when you go on excursions to the archaeological sites, such as forts, colonial lighthouses, buildings, monuments, etc., especially in the maritime provinces of the island, large or small, are vulnerable and irreplaceable. And please understand, some of these structures were built by the hands of our ancestors during colonial times, so it's our duty to protect them. Human progress is neither automatic nor inevitable. Every step toward the goal of justice requires sacrifice, suffering, and struggle, the tireless exertions and passionate concern of dedicated individuals. With this motivational quote by Martin Luther King Jr., I shall conclude my long speech by thanking you all once again very much for having graced the occasion with your kind presence. Banyak terima kasih. Thank you.
Thank you, Saudara Zamir Karim. Ladies and gentlemen, I would request you to give another round of applause to Saudara Zamir Karim. We now invite Deshabantu S. Godage, who most graciously agreed to publish the book of Saudara Zamir Karim, to hand over the official copy of the book for Saudara. To all and sundry, our chief guest today is the gatekeeper of this gold mine, invaluable, priceless. To have with us as our chief guest, Dr. Saroja Petasingh, Director of the National Archives. Madam, we cordially invite you to address the gathering.
Good evening. Venerable Dalkande Dhammananda Thero, Her Excellency Joanna Durenwald, Ambassador of the Royal Netherlands Embassy, Mr. Tissa Devendra, Chairman of the former Salary and Carter Commission, and Mr. W. Sunil, Director General of the National Library Services Board, Mr. Salveen, Mr. Tuan M. Zamir Karim, the author of the book which is to be launched today, and President and Executive members and other members of the Sri Lanka Malay Association, and Deshabandhu Sirisumana Godage, and all professors and senior lecturers of universities and other distinguished invitees, ladies and gentlemen. I am privileged to be here today to grace this occasion, and I like to thank the organizers for inviting me. A young Mr. Tuan M. Zamir Karim, the author of the PERSAUDARAAN, Brotherhood, has done a special task amidst his medical education, which gives a credit not only to him, his parents, to all Sri Lankan Malay community. I understand that this book elucidates the history, culinary practices, genealogical evidences and all that. After hearing Mr. Tissa Devendra as well as the author and all the characters and customs etc. of Sri Lankan Malay community. I would like to congratulate you, Mr. Tuan, for your courage, dedication and the thought of writing a book and completing it to enlighten the society. In the present world, where technology and cyberspace is in high demand, it is necessary to admire the young writers like the author, as the books in printed form would enable for people with or without computer knowledge to learn and enjoy the information on vivid subjects. I would like to mention that the book like these are assets in the information world and need to be deposited at the National Archives for the future. Sri Lankan Malays are a unique community who are descendants of Indonesia and Malay Peninsula. Their food, dress, language and customs are a part of the Sri Lankan heritage. There are ample evidence of Malay descendancy, their contribution towards the protection of sovereignty, well-being of the society, etc. at the National Archives. History records that there were many occasions that who rebelled against the Dutch administration in Batavia were sent to Ceylon as exiles. At some instances, they deported not only the rebel, but also his whole family together with his or her aides. Among the expatriates from Indonesia, some were of very high-class families, that means of the ruling classes. As stated in the Dutch Council minutes of the 8th March 1788, there was a request to increase the allowances paid to these exiles from Indonesia who were of a very high social standards, and among them there were an emperor of Padang, a king of Kupang, a princess of Madura, a prince of Bantam, a sultan of Tidor, and crown princesses of Tidor. It is mentioned that the allowances paid for the exiles were about 19 heads of families, with wives, brothers, sisters, children and grandchildren, which add up to 171, and about 245 servants and slaves. There were also Javanese people who served in Ceylon during the Dutch period, and they were living in Colombo, mainly in the Java Street, Union Place and Katawalamulla, and many of them were in possession of land. Javanese people had also functioned as military personnel, especially lieutenants, surgeons and captains, and also has provided services as olio and mandadoos. There were also a headman of the Javanese too. A commander of the Javanese regiment in Ceylon is also mentioned in the same document which records information on exiles. When the British gained the power in Ceylon from the Dutch, a treaty was signed in 1796. Article 12 of the capitulation of Colombo records the agreement to transport Malays and their families to Java. Even then, many Malays opted to stay in Ceylon. These Malays were from Java and the neighboring islands or their descendants. There was a Malay regiment too. Governor Sir Frederick North was instrumental in increasing the number and giving more officers and presenting new colours for the regiment. It is also recorded when Trincomalee fell into the hands of the British. The commander of Free Malays, Prince Radin Purava Dakshina, surrendered to the British. Then Prince Radin accompanied General Stuart to Colombo and was appointed as the chief of Malay Corps. Hay MacDowell had written a letter to the Governor Frederick North recommending the services of the Malay regiment. Acting Lieutenant Governor had issued a proclamation on 4th March 1805 regarding the recruitment of soldiers to the Malay regiment, and the conditions of services too are given therein. Governor Noor published a proclamation in March 1799 requesting Malays to register in order to check the Malays who were not in the British service. It stated that before a specified date, they had to present themselves before the commander of town for registration. British governors were interested in the well-being of the Malays, and there are records which mention the promotions given to the Malay personnel of the Malay regiment. There is also information on the settlement of a colony of invalid Malays in Hambantota and demarcating a special burial grounds for the Malays. It is interesting to note the first Malay newspaper, Alamat Lanka Puri, was printed in Ceylon in 1869 in the Malay vernacular language, written in Arabic characters with the addition of 6 letters from other alphabets. It lasted till 1878. In 1895, the Wajah Selong was published and its fortnightly issues were circulated largely among the Malay-speaking races in Ceylon, in the Straits settlements, Java, and Holland. You have heard that there are documentary evidence on contribution of Malay for the betterment of Ceylon. In addition, in post-independent era, Sri Lankan Malays have taken interest in the development of the island. There were eminent politicians like Dr. Rahman T.B. Jha, etc. Even at present, there are members who contribute for the betterment of Sri Lanka. There are many Malay scholars who contribute for the betterment. If I don't mention the services rendered by the Sri Lankan Malay Association, I will be failing in my duty. Sri Lankan Malay Association contributes to the society by undertaking many activities for the Malay community, which is a well-integrated segment of the Sri Lankan society and other communities of Sri Lanka. If I recall correct, I have been here for the occasion of launching the directory of Sri Lankan Malay community. So I am glad to be here for the second time. And I wish all of you very well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saroja Vetasinghe. We now call upon Saudara Zamir to make a presentation of the books to the head table. Guru Muzni Amir, Dr. Saroja Vetasinghe, the National Libraries Board, Mr. Sunil, Secretary General, Mr. Tissa Devendra, Mr. BDK Saldin, and Don. Thank you, sir. From His Excellency Harimawan Suitno, Ambassador for the Republic of Indonesia. It gives me great pleasure in sending my greetings to author Tuan Zamir Karim and the Sri Lanka Malay Association on the occasion of the launch of the book PERSAUDARAAN. I regret my inability to attend this event due to a prior engagement. The Ceylon Malays trace their ancestry from the Indonesian archipelago and the Malaysian peninsula. They are descendants from mercenaries, exiled royalty, aide-de-camps, courtiers, and aristocrats who were banished to Ceylon by the Dutch VOC as political convicts during the Dutch colonial era. I am well aware that the Sri Lanka Malay Association has been promoting and supporting activities relating to the Sri Lankan Malay language, history and culture. I am also glad to note that the SLMA is supporting this young author to launch this book. I believe that the book gives elaborate details of the history of the Sri Lankan Malays. I am sure that this book will enlighten the Sri Lankan Malay community and also bring knowledge for the Sri Lankan people about Malays. Our deepest wish is for the Sri Lankan community that they will always be united in the future in accordance with the theme of the book. I wish the book launch all success, and I also wish to congratulate the author Tuan Zamir Karim for his efforts and the wonderful work done. Despite him studying to be a medical professional, he has done extensive